sides of the ball did a lot of good things today. I do think that we had a few too many undisciplined penalties today. That's probably the main takeaway. I think overall, last week we played, 120 plays, I think, and we had 2 penalties this week. We were way up there. I'm not exactly how many we had, but too many for my liking, right? I do think we took care of the ball pretty good, and then we played really well. Got a lot of situational football done today. Got out of there healthy, which is always a positive. But overall, general message here, need more consistency across the board, both sides, and certainly in the kicking game as well. But, overall the energy's good, the effort's good. I like the physicality. I think we need better execution, and then we need to make better decisions at the point of contact and post-whistle when it comes to discipline. So, I think when you, in life sometimes, learning as we go here, if we do the things that are easy, your life is hard, right? And if we can do the hard things on a consistent basis, embrace the work, decide that we want to be a little bit different, I think life gets easier. I think we all probably could agree on that. We got some work to do here, but really proud of this group of people, and then we'll kind of move forward with our plan next week to get ready for the spring game on Thursday night. You guys know it's a big deal. We can't wait to, for Thursday night in the Swamp. Obviously it's an open invitation. It's free. We're excited about it. This is our first opportunity to really engage the student body. Went for a few walks this week, and every kid I met while I was out there, I asked them if they're coming to the spring game on Thursday night. We got a lot of yeses, so we're excited about that. And certainly our fans that are coming in town, we look forward to that. We want them to arrive early. Gator Walk is scheduled for 5 o'clock. The gates open at 6 o'clock. Again, general admission is free. Kickoff is at 7:30. It's going to be streamed on the SEC network, and certainly all the people that can't be there will have an opportunity to watch. So what questions do we have here?
Okay, we're open up with that. Zach?
Hey, Bill, you mentioned the penalties. What do you think was the root of that today? Was that to be expected, or would you hope that would be a little bit better at this point in the spring?
Yeah, no, I think that I was pleasantly surprised last week that we played relatively clean football, Maybe it was we're in the stadium for the first time. I don't know what the case may be, but there's no excuse, right? They're all technical. They're all relative to coaching, and that's what I told the players. I said, that's a reflection of me. I got to do a better job for you guys as a coach, and we'll work hard at it and get it fixed.
And then what did you want to emphasize in today's scrimmage, and how do you feel like the team took to that?
Yeah, no, I think overall, we want to go execute our formula, right, in terms of how we win games. I think we say own the ball, attack the ball, right? So turnover margin obviously is the most significant statistic relative to playing winning football. We want to be situation experts, right, relative to the down and distance, the field zone, the clock. We want to master our craft, which is all about techniques and fundamentals. And then we want to be aggressive in all 3 phases, and the collective effort of all 3 phases being an issue for the other team. And then we want to finish, right? We talk about legendary finish, and that's finishing plays, that's finishing possessions, and ultimately it's finishing the game, right? So, it doesn't change. Formulas work for us. It's typically when you go back and look at a competition, it comes down to the basic things. We got to do the simple things well, and that's what I see. I think we need to improve.
And did you guys come out okay from an injury standpoint?
We did. Nothing major.
Napier?
Yeah, on the point, you were just laying out the things that were important to you. Penalties last year, I think you guys had like 32 yards a game. So it's obviously super important for you.
What are you talking about, Florida or Louisiana?
I'm talking about Louisiana.
Yeah.
Florida was double that easily.
Right.
Were you aware of that, first off? Did you realize Florida had a lot of penalties?
Yeah, Florida was 121st in the country in penalties last
Exactly.
year, right?
So how does a team, how do you emphasize that, and how do you get a team just to play that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first way you win is you don't beat yourself, right? And you completely control the things that have nothing to do with the opponent, right? So, we're talking about undisciplined penalties. We're talking about taking care of the ball. We're talking about mental errors. From a coaching perspective, we're talking about positioning the players to have success, being a really sound concept, making sure that when we watch the tape that we have the answers to the test, right? So that's where you start, when you're building a football team. We've always taken great pride in not giving the other team anything, right? They've got to earn every single thing that they get, right? And, when you talk about penalties, typically you're going to have some technical fouls in a game, but the undisciplined ones you want to eliminate completely, right? And we had too many today, right? So, our goal is to play and have, we want to be under one penalty in every 30 plays, right? So, and I can proudly say that typically in the past we've done that. Is our team ready to play that brand of football? No, right? But we don't play tomorrow, right? We don't play this week. We got time. So we're in the process of working hard on that, and that's my job as a coach.
One kind of off topic. A week ago after practice, you were out there talking to Danny Werfel and picking his brain a little and just having a conversation. How important is it seeing a guy like that around, bringing back former players, hearkening to the past, so to speak, with your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most important things that we do is ask questions, and listen, and really, I think history is the best indicator of the future, right? So when Florida was successful, what contributed to that, right? What were the factors ultimately that led to that success? And I'm always looking for a way to improve, right? And I want to know the history of the place that we're at. This is a place that's done it before. It's a very capable place. And I think one of the ways that you learn is you dig into the history in the past. We're very fortunate here that there's been tremendous success here, right? The teams and the individuals, right? Players and coaches. I think you ask a lot of questions and you do a good job listening and you adjust the sales depending on what you learn as you go, right? So that's what we're in the process of doing.
Thomas Goldkamp.
Billy, I know you'll need time to go over the film to look at decision-making with the quarterbacks, but in terms of accuracy, how are they today, especially given the wind?
Yeah, it was windy today. Overall, I didn't think it was bad. I think sometimes we always evaluate the quarterback and, if the ball's moving and we're scoring, we think the quarterback's doing great, right? When in reality, a lot of times quarterback play is dependent on the players around him, right? I think we're still pursuing a point in time here where everybody knows what to do. They're aligned correctly. They do it with the right fundamentals and techniques. There's great communication. There's great execution, at every position around the quarterback. And right now, we're a mixture of lineups each and every period. But I wasn't necessarily disappointed with the quarterbacks today. I thought we did a lot of good things. I think that we need depth, and I think sometimes when there's a drop-off around the players, sometimes that can affect the players. So we're going to evaluate the decision-making of the quarterback, right, the accuracy of the quarterback, and then ultimately the execution of the play, right? And we'll learn more, but overall, nothing glaring that I'm disappointed with.
France.
You've talked all spring about getting consistency. You're at 12 practices now. Have you seen a growth in that area? Have you seen consistent growth, I guess?
Yeah,
is what
no
I'm asking.
question. There's no doubt. I think the film this week has been much cleaner, You know, I tell the staff all the time, I should be able to look at the script, okay, and look at the offensive play, look at the defensive call, and tell you what's going to happen, right? That's when we're coaching, right? When we know, hey, we call this running play against this coverage and this front. I know where the ball's going to go. I know who should make the tackle, you know, and I think that we're getting closer. Now, we don't do that every play, obviously, you know. I think you could flip a coin probably that first week. But I felt like the tape last week was cleaner, right? In particular on defense, I thought we took some steps forward. But overall, there's no doubt that the football's getting cleaner. So yes, I do think that we've consistently improved, you know.
Another question has been the wide receiver position as far as getting consistency, getting people open.
Mm-hmm.
And are you seeing the separation, for example, in the passing game with the receivers? Are they getting open consistently?
Yeah, I think we have, you know, I think we have a group of players that I think can play winning football, if that makes sense. There's a handful of players in that room that I think we could run out there and we could depend on those guys. They can do their job. They can play winning football for Florida. We need more. Does that make sense? But I do think overall, I think we've got some guys that can execute and do their job. Now, how many? You know, I think that's where we're at. You know, how many guys? I think that's really, they're a reflection of the entire team, right? I think the team as a whole lacks depth. We need more players that can do their job consistently and play winning football, right? The receiver position is much like every position on our team, right? We got a good group of ones we can run out there. We got a couple twos that we would put in the game, and then after that, I think we've got improvement. We need improvement.
Zach Goff.
Lamar Goods announced yesterday that he was going in the portal. Did he take part today, or was he no longer here?
No, Lamar is no longer with the program.
What are your just impressions on interior defensive line depth then, you know, as it stands?
Yeah, I think we've got some players that can play effective, you know, football. You know, I think I would answer the question the same way I just answered the receiver question. You know, I think we can run a pretty good group of ones out there, and we have some twos that, you know, we could roll in there and play. We need more depth, right? We need more players. So, but I think we have capable players. Does that make sense? I think there are some redeeming qualities, right? There's height, length, there's athleticism, there's power. And I think it's more about learning what to do, how to do it, and doing it more consistently. You know, being loyal, being dependable and accountable, right? Playing winning football. You can do your job for the team every single time, right? You know, I think reality is as we get closer to the game, okay, if we get to put 11 out there every play, right, okay, and to run between the lines for the Florida Gators, you have to be dependable and accountable, and you got to be consistent. Everybody understand? Okay, so, you know, it is a privilege to represent the University of Florida and run between the lines and play. We get to put 11 out there at a time. We need more players to make progress and get in that group. Does that make sense? We've got a lot of players that I trust and we will put out there, but we've got a lot of work to do to create depth and add more players to that list.
Jacob.
As far, I know that there's still work to be done depth-wise, but as far as offensive and defensive scheme fluency goes, how are you feeling just about how guys are picking things up on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, it's not a problem. You know, I think we know what to do. I think we are making progress in how to do it. And I think we actually have some players that maybe know why we're doing what we're doing. You know, we need more players that understand how to do it and why we do it that way, right? Now, there's a handful of guys out there, they don't even know what to do, right? So, and that comes with the territory, right? So we talk about being four-dimensional players, okay? Let me see if I can explain this quickly, right? The first dimension is you know what you're supposed to do, okay? The second dimension is you know what every player in your position room is supposed to do, right? So you play Z receiver, you know what the H and the X have. You play left guard, you know what all 5 linemen are supposed to do on the play, right? Third dimension is you understand all 11 players on offense or defense or in special teams, right? And then a 4-dimensional player, which is really rare, he understands all 11 on his side of the ball, and he knows and can comprehend and discuss what the 11 other people on the other side of the ball are doing, right? So a 4-dimensional player, what is that? How do you get to that point? You do that by evaluating, recruiting, retaining, and executing your year-round plan over and over and over, right? And we're in the first year. You know, we're a little 2/3 of the way through phase 3. I'm hopeful here we'll look up in a couple of years and have a lot of 4-dimensional players that are playing for the University of Florida.
What was the third dimension? I'm sorry.
You understand all 11 players on your side of the ball.
Then who are some of the guys who are starting to stand out potentially individually? It might not necessarily be in all 4 phases yet, but just who are there players who are starting to stick out to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, I think we have a lot of good individual players, you know, but this game isn't about individuals, right? This is why it's the best game there is, right? It takes 11 people doing their job, right? So we're not to a point here where we can start talking about individuals until we decide, okay, hey, we comprehend what it takes to be a team, right? That's not the problem, right? Individual players with ability that can play, that's not the problem, right? We're building a football team here. It takes much more than individual players.
All right, we'll close with Zach and then Edgar.
Billy, speaking of building a football team, I want to ask you about NIL. You've talked about that you're in the talent acquisition business, but in talking to Marcus yesterday, it seems like you're also about to be in the talent retention business. You know, players, it seems like in the past used to transfer because they were upset, playing time, or something was wrong. Now we could be in a world where guys leave schools where there's nothing wrong with where they're at, but they get an NIL deal to go somewhere else for $100,000. How do you manage that, deal with that, and how's that landscape going to kind of change sports?
Yeah, no, I think there's a ton of variables here, right, relative to the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness. You know, and I believe that it's our job to equip the players, okay, and it's our job to educate the players, and it's our job to use any and all resources that we have to help the players, right? So, you know, I don't necessarily, there's pros and cons of this, right? You know, 98% of the players in college football, 99%, heck, they're not going to play in the National Football League, okay? So, and this is a explosive entertainment business that we're a part of, reality, right? But, so there's a lot of positives about a guy who comes to the University of Florida. He's a starter. He's a significant contributor. I mean, the amount of time, effort, and energy that these guys put into doing what they do, right, to represent this place, being a loyal teammate, the physical work, the mental work, the time. I think it's positive that these guys can benefit from that, right? But I do think that we got to be careful here that we're not making short-term decisions. You know, I think that may affect their future. There's got to be. It's part of the decision, but it's not all of the decision, right? I mean, you come to the University of Florida, you make a decision to come here, you're going to attend the top 5 public university, all right? You're going to have an alumni network that's 415,000 strong that is, you know, can position you for success, that you can network with, that will really, the more people I talk to, the more that we realize that they're going to benefit from that the rest of their lives, right? You talk about the Hawkins Center, the resources that we provide there to be competitive as a student, combined with the Gator Made program, which is all about life after football. It's about a holistic approach. It's about leadership development, character education. It's about creating experiences for the player so that their perspective changes on life, their approach changes while they're a student, you know. we want to have a place where we're using football and football is not using them. Does that make sense? And I think NIL is another part of our organization, and it's one that we need to have a very specific plan, right? And there's no question that it's part of the competition now, right? It's part of the package, right? It's part of the decision-making process. So I don't think it should be the sole reason that a young man chooses a school. You know, I think there's got to be something about, you know, being on a team, the passion for the game, and the experiences and the people that you'll meet along the way, right? So we're fortunate that we have an incredible product to sell here. And I'll say it again, I think NIL is going to be a strength for the University of Florida, right? To go along with all these other things that I just talked about. We play in the SEC. We play in the most competitive conference in all of football. And if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere, right? So, again, I think it's going to be a strength for the University of Florida.
One last question, Edgar?
Yeah, with the game, scrimmage today, I mean, 5 days till the spring game, how's that going to impact reps, workload, all that kind of stuff, because it seems pretty close? And special teams, how much is that going to be involved in the spring game? We haven't even asked you about special teams, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I think the play count today wasn't the same as last week, if that makes sense. And it's all relative to we're actually going to play Thursday night too, right? So, you know, Thursday night, when you look at the format, you know, the total number of plays, you know, I think it's going to be just fine. But the kicking game will be on air. We'll spot the ball. You know, there'll be some competitive parts of it, but it won't necessarily be all 6 phases, 11 on 11, if that makes sense. But it will certainly affect the end of the game, for sure.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, thank you all.